to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
Well, President Trump promised a lot of winning, and he's done a bit of it already. The stock market doing great. The economy just added 300,000 jobs in a month, and illegal immigration has dropped sharply, according to some statistics. But if you watch the news, the focus is on President Trump's messes, the troubled executive order on immigration, the never-ending feud over Russia, and much more. Is the Trump administration sneakily off to a good start in achieving its promises? Charles Krauthammer joins us now. Charles, we talked about jobs up, stock market up. Alec Baldwin is even saying he may give up the impression on SNL. He thinks people may get tired of it. You think Alec Baldwin is just tired of all this winning?
Well, I'd say it's a bit premature to declare that we have excessive winning. I will say the stock market and the job market are things that do respond to confidence. There is great confidence that the Republicans being in charge in the House and in the Congress will pass tax reform, lower rates, lower corporate rates, will cut back on regulation, which is the formula for growth. So if you're in the market, it's likely that the economy will grow.
And isn't that tied to Obamacare in the sense that if they get stalled on Obamacare, that's going to push the timetable back on tax reform and tax cuts and could be a real problem?
Which is why these early signs are nice, but they are tenuous. Look, the market is not going to keep climbing indefinitely. I think I can predict with confidence at some point it will turn around and go backwards. And at that point, what is Trump going to say? We're going to get tired of losing? So, look, some things are attributable, some things are not. Trump himself tweeted out, I think you heard this from Ben Carson, the statistic that after a month, the deficit had gone down by $10 billion under him, and under Obama after the first month, it had gone up by $20 billion, which of course is a complete and total irrelevancy.
It fluctuates.
It fluctuates every hour, let alone every month.
But what's your sense now? You mentioned Russia a moment ago, and Sean Hannity had a journalist on last night, Sarah Carter. She's going to come back tonight, so people are going to want to stick around back with Sean, saying that the FBI has been investigating and has found no evidence of collusion between the Russian officials and the Trump campaign. And as you know, James Clapper said much the same in a series of television interviews a few days ago. So what's all the hullabaloo about if the FBI hasn't found anything that's really collusion?
Well, in fact, I asked that question in my column. Here we are about to embark, and we are being completely flooded with news about two accusations. The first is that the Trump campaign colluded with the Russians. As you say, there's no evidence for that. You can ask anybody. They'll say, well, there's this, there's that.
There were meetings, there was contact.
But that doesn't mean a thing. A meeting, you know, Flynn had a meeting with the Russian ambassador. Maybe he talked about sanctions. So what? That's his job. The meetings prove nothing. So there is no evidence. They may discover evidence. I'm not saying it's impossible. But as of now, we have this complete frenzy where there's no evidence of collusion. And as you say, James Clapper is not a guy who's sort of having a bromance with Donald Trump. Yeah. They were pretty at each other's throats. Clapper himself.
He headed for the exits quickly when Trump got elected.
Exactly. But Clapper himself, who wrote the report, handed it to Obama when he was leaving, said there's nothing in there to support the collusion.
At least not yet.
Charge.
As you say, it's still going to play out.
We may find out, but it is a little disproportionate. The other charge, of course, is the Trump charge that Obama had wiretapped him. There is even less evidence on that. So here we are as a country about to go into a rabbit hole, chasing our tails on these issues. Well, perhaps we'll find something. I think the odds are that we're not. And there's a lot happening, and we ought to be paying attention.
And that investigation by the FBI is happening not in a vacuum, but as WikiLeaks keeps dumping out more documents that could be very damaging to this country.
I think the current WikiLeaks dump is the worst of all. It's one thing when you leak names, when you leak incidents, that's pretty bad, the Snowden thing. But when you're leaking documents, you're leaking here methods and sources. These are the keys to getting in. These are telling the world how we get into their systems, how we can fake intrusions, all the tricks that we need. And once you release that, then I think our huge technological advantage, which we have, look at what we did in
This is a lot worse than John Podesta making catty comments about Hillary Clinton or reporters, and yet I'm not seeing a lot of Democratic outrage.
Yeah, look, the hypocrisy here is really unbelievable. If your side is being bitten, you get all upset. The other guys are being bitten, like in the campaign. Trump says, I love WikiLeaks. I don't think he loves them today.
Because he's the commander-in-chief who has to deal with the fallout.
This is undermining our entire system. And the other thing it does, apart from everything else, is it exposes Americans to suspicions about the intentions of their own government.
Sure.
Are they listening in on my microwave?
But last question, is there some credence to the suspicion some of our viewers may have when, for example, Judge Napolitano was talking about a report today where Samsung is saying, we care so much about privacy, and then it turns out, well, maybe they allowed British intelligence services to dip into American television sets here with those Samsung smart TVs. So the CIA says, we don't spy on Americans. But did the British intelligence services tap into those TVs? That undermines confidence.
That does. As I said to Judge Napolitano just a little while ago in a special report, well, in that case, don't talk to your microwave. It's not safe anymore.
Always good advice from Charles Krauthammer.
Yes.
Don't talk to your microwave.
This is where you come for that. Where else can you get that kind of
key insight? We appreciate it.
From a psychiatrist, remember.
Thank you, Charles.